Happy 2025, Mega Moms. Jessica Hensley here with Real Estate Mega Moms, where we help moms create a life and a business that they love. And I'm joined by my partner, Stefanie Stockberger. And we are going to be talking about the word of the year. So if you don't know, I don't know when it kind of became a thing. I'm sure it's been around for quite a while, but it came on my radar maybe 5 or 6 years ago that people were choosing a word to symbolize their year and just to be like a guiding light of where they were going in that year, much like vision boards and, all of those things. And I know for me, I've chosen different words and different intentions for the years, and it always seems to help. It always seems to help. And it's something I can go back to and remember, like, all right, this is God working in my life to bring about growth or expansion, or I'm trying to think of the different words I've had through the years. Impact was one year I've used that word. And so we're going to talk about how we chose our words, what our words are, what our intention is for 2025. So Steph, what has your journey been like? Have you been choosing a word of the year for a while now?
I have for the past few years. I don't think that I paid too much attention to it. I may have chosen a word and then just let it go, just I'll just choose a word. But the past few years, I've chosen it and actually brought some thought back into it after a few months. And now am I living by focusing on that word? In fact, a group of women that I meet with every week for lunch, one of them actually brings it up pretty often. And she's like, hey, everyone, what is your word of the year again? And that's actually really helped. Because I think that it is really important for us to remember that life changes and it's okay. And honestly, your year of the word, or your year word of the year, there we go. That actually might even change throughout the year, halfway through the year or whatever, because life does change. But I think it's important for us to know that if you focus on something, then typically we're just going to walk towards it. And it's important for me to know, this year, mine is, I totally forgot, Flourish. And last year it was nurture. And that actually really helped me because I wanted to nurture relationships. And, the year before that, I can't really even remember what the word was. And it's probably because I wasn't focusing on it.
Yeah, I know. I don't think I even chose a word last year. I don't. But I love that nurture was your word. I can see that, that you lived that last year. I mean, you were very intentional about your relationship with me and reaching out, and we got together more and got to spend more time with each other and also with our community because we did our abundance conference. Yep. So this is gonna be fun. So you kind of talked about it, you touched on it. Why should we choose a word? So if you haven't done it, the ones that are listening, if you haven't chosen your word yet, maybe take some time today and really think on, and I don't know about you, Steph, I know how you came about your word, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But for me, I feel like God just kind of puts the word in my mind. I just, I think about, what do I want to accomplish this year? What do I want my life to look like? How do I want to feel? How do I want others, in my life to feel? What is it? And trying to sum it all up into one word. So it's a lot of just thinking for me, just self-reflection, and God just brings a word, or a word comes to mind. And like you said, I mean, it's not tattooed on you or something. You can change your word if it's oh, that doesn't really make sense for me now. But my word for 2025 is whole. And I didn't put a lot of thought into the definition of it until right before this podcast. So we'll be talking about it in a minute. But I know my intention for 2025 is to I have bits and pieces of really, really good things in my life right now and in my business. And I want to bring it together to be whole, to have a whole, all of the pieces fitting together in my real estate business and my coaching business. We're actually adding on a service in our real estate business. We're now offering mortgages with Responsive Mortgage at Gold Star Mortgage. So by the way, if anybody listening has a client that you want me to work with, I would love to work with them as well. But anyway, mortgages is something we're offering now. And then we have our coaching business. So all of those things, I want them to work really well whole. And so ChatGPT kind of came into play with definitions and finding our words, and Steffi will talk about that. But what whole means to me, so like in self-care and healing, emphasizing wholeness may lead you to focus on emotional, spiritual, and physical well-being. And I am getting ready to go on a journey. I just hired a personal trainer and I'm going to be doing macros with them. They're going to give me a full meal plan, diet plan, and an exercise plan. And I know getting to focus on that will be so good for me. And I'm really, really excited about that, to focus on my health and my fitness, having whole relationships. I will say, I have spent so much intentional time with Henry. We've gotten to travel. We're going to be traveling more this year. And so, and then faith and spiritual growth. As everyone knows, that is the center of my world. It has been. I got saved when I was 13 years old. I asked Jesus into my heart. And of course, I was raised in a Christian family. But my walk with him, with God, has increased. And that's what happens when you go through hard times. He shows himself mighty. And I appreciate about you, Stefanie, you shared with me when your dad died and when you had your surgery and you were walking through all of those things, how your relationship with Christ, brought you through that too. And I'm so thankful that we have that and we have that in common. But my word is whole. And I do think it's good for anybody that's listening today to really think about your own life and your own circumstance. We all have things we're going through. We all have struggles and challenges and triumphs that are coming our way at any given time. So having a word could be helpful and could be inspiring to you.
I love that. I love that word whole. And you know what? I'd encourage anyone, once they pick their word, if you can if you can put it somewhere and remind yourself what your word is, put it on your mirror in your bathroom, put it in your closet somewhere. So when you're getting ready, put it in your planner. If you have a written planner, put it in your notebook,
vision board,
computer. Yes, just put it somewhere so you remember, and hopefully that reminds you why you picked your word. Because I just think it's just so important throughout the year that, like you mentioned there, Jess, is that your word whole reminds you of your faith. So it is a guiding light. I think that, typically we look at it as like, are we guided by a material fact or a material thing? We can be, because it reminds you of your faith. And I think that's absolutely amazing. So I love that word. Normally when I pick my word of the year, I'll go through some kind of guiding, like a notebook or something like that. And that cultivated planning book that I normally have, Jess, I know I keep bringing that up all the time. Every year I bring that up, and that's when I do my yearly planning. There's a series of questions that it asks you. And at the end of it, it kind of helps you get to that word of the year. It's like knowing all of this about you, like what lights your world on fire? What do you do that you're passionate about? Like, what don't you like? What do you like? And knowing all of this, like what word sticks in your mind? So it's kind of like what you said, like in your heart, like, what do you feel, right? What is your word? So this year I did something different because I learned about ChatGPT like a year or two ago, and it scared me. It scared the bejeebies out of me. I'm like, what is this thing? I'm going to run from it. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm so scared. But the more that I got into it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask it some questions. I'm going to see, I used it kind of like Google, right? Like a personalized little Google. So I started using that probably about 6 to 8 months ago. And I started asking some questions about different things and whatever. And it started to give me responses where it kind of knew me. So this year I decided to ask it, knowing what you know about me, what should my year of the year, why can't I get this right today? The word of the year should be for 2025. And it spit out I gave you probably 10 of them today, just when we talked earlier. And then it actually gave me a little recap of why that should be my word of the year, which I thought was interesting. So I'm like, wow, this is like my love language. I'm like, you are giving me things to think about. And it's like talking with your best friend or talking with a colleague that you really love and wants to do well for you. And I love learning. I could do it forever. This is just something I love. So anyway, I talked right back to it and I said, I love them all, but I think number 3 these 3 stick out the most. Flourish, faithful, and legacy. Could you help me walk through all 3 of them a little deeper? And then that's what it did. It walked through 3 of them and it gave me personal information back as to why the 3 of them would be good. And then I said at the end, thank you very much. I'm going to think about these 3, but flourish sounds like it's probably it. And I said, I'll get back to you. Like I'm talking to a real person, right? Because it seems personal to me. So that is the one that I picked, is flourish. And flourish to me is just like when you're going out and I don't garden. I'm just not Betty Crocker. I'm not a gardener. Thank God I have Brad that will water our plants and keep them alive. I just love him to pieces. But to me, it's just like gardening your life. And it's like Jess had mentioned last year about nurture. And it's kind of along the same lines as I've learned at this stage of my life, and I didn't know this early on, is the people that I love, I want to love so hard. And I feel like that because of that love, it just grows and it just flourishes. And I feel that with the people that I love and my friendships and all those things. And I believe that with clients and my team. And so yesterday we were at that every Wednesday we meet with those gals, and one of the people that I was talking to was talking about an author, and I wish I had the name of the book, but maybe you'll know, Jess. But they were talking about special things that you can do for clients that make the process just so smooth. They were talking about a realtor that had a person that had talked about envisioning a yoga studio in their house or something like that. They said, oh, I think this would be a perfect place to do yoga with the sun shining in or something like that. And when the business closed, or when the house closed, the agent had put a yoga mat in the corner of the house and surprised them when they closed the house. This was actually a book that was written about the special things that you can do to make the experience.
I haven't read it, but I'll have to look that up. That's good.
Something hospitality, I believe. And she was talking about, what are the special things that we can do to make the experience of our customers better. And those are the things that I am talking about with Flourish, is like just and meaningful and authentic, and just I want to do those things. And I also want to water my own self and flourish, and even in a way where, the parts of me that are broken, I want to love those parts and flourish those parts. And Atlanta said something, my daughter, for those of you that don't know, her name's Atlanta, after Atlanta, Georgia. I was showing her pictures of a part of my body that like one's perfect, one side's perfect, and the other side's, I said, it's a little jacked up and a little broken. And she's like, it's beautiful. Both sides are beautiful, Mom. God makes everything beautiful. And I said, oh, I made you. You're so beautiful. Thank you for reminding me about that. And it's just like every single part of you, you need to water and it flourishes, right? So that is my word of the year, is flourish. So flourish your friendships, flourish your the people that you work with, flourish everything. Everything is, and everything is beautiful in God's eyes. And because of that, do you not think that God will bless you and reward you with everything that you need and abundantly?
Yes.
So
a really, really good book for anybody that is, has gone through something that you just don't understand. It's called I Want to Trust You, But I Don't. And it's about trusting God and just remembering. And I know this isn't, this podcast is really about real estate, but for me, my faith is everything. And so I believe a lot of people listening are like-minded. And I want to encourage you, when you don't understand what's going on, just remember and trust that God, in the end, wants what's best. And He will work it for your good. I mean, it's a promise in the Bible to those that love God, all things work together for good, but it's hard to trust that. And one thing that she says in it that was so good was that what I don't trust, I try to control. So when I'm trying to control the situation, I'm communicating to God and others, I don't trust you. I don't trust what's happening here. And a lot of times that makes things worse, I mean, you trying to control and trying to, it just causes chaos, really. And so sometimes, I mean, not that you shouldn't do the right thing, all that. I mean, but in the end, you can only do what you can do. You can't control somebody else. You can't control a circumstance. You can't control a health issue. You can't control that your dad passed away. I mean, like, you walked through some very heavy things a couple years ago, and really you still are, Stefanie. And I feel like you could probably speak to this. I haven't been going through it quite as long, but anyway, I just want to leave this podcast with God is good, and He does have, in the end, He has a plan and He has a purpose, and it's hard to see it now, but read that book. It's so, so good. It's called I Want to Trust You, But I Don't. And she really enlightened my eyes on how to trust God, how to do it. So
I love that. I love that. Well, I would love to hear as well what your the audience here, what your year of the word or word of the year. Oh, blessings. I'd love to hear what your word of the year is and why. I think it's so inspiring, and I'd like to see if you guys have the boards, if you have those made up. I'd love to see those. I haven't made mine up this year, and I know it's already, the 9th of January. I normally have this beautiful board made up, and I have it, I have a closet where I can put it, up in my closet, and I don't have that up this year yet. So I'm normally
make on mine now. Yep.
Are you? Okay. I normally make it with Macon. Do you make yours with Henry? Does Henry have one? I can see one.
We've done it before, but we didn't this year. What I did this last year was on Canva. So I just went back into Canva, and I'm updating it to 2025, and I'm putting different quotes and different, I'm just thinking through personal, for me, we had sold our house and we were building, and so now I'm like, okay, now I get to buy a house, and
there you go.
So what do I want that to look like? And so just kind of thinking through that, and my health journey, and places I want to travel with Henry, all of those things. I just kind of think about what I want, and then I Google it, get an image, and I put it on Canva, and then I have it as my screensaver for the year. And it's been really good, because even just like looking at 2024, even though that year did not go the way I thought it would go, you know, I got to go to a lot of the places that I put on my board. I got to spend so much time with Henry. I don't think we've ever, I mean, not that I didn't spend time with him before, because I always prioritize my relationship with him, but it's just been different. And so we just got to go to Florida, him and I together alone. And it was amazing. It was amazing getting to travel with him. So anyway, I mean, a lot of the things on my vision board came to pass. And so that's the other, I lost 20 pounds this year, you know, those things. So, okay, we're going to end because we're over time. But moms, thank you so much for listening. And hopefully this exercise will be helpful to you. We want to hear what your word is. Leave it below. And we will see you in the next episode. Bye, moms.